Good afternoon. Again, my name is Eric Bain. I'm the Director of Sales Enablement Technology for Amwins Connect with a dedicated focus on talking about our quote to enroll technology strategies and solutions. Today, we're going through Amwins Connect Benefix Academy 301, which is all around the enrollment and case submission tool that is available through the Benefix environment. Like sessions 101 and 201, we're going to start by initiating a proposal and walk all the way through to that end step. So I'm on my amwinsconnect.com website where I pick the state that I want to participate in or where I do most of my business, and I'm prompted to initiate quoting from there. No matter which state you pick, it'll still prompt you to this quoting page where you can select the tool that you're using. We're focused on Benefix today. So we're going to pick up where we left off. Well, not quite where we left off, as promised, yesterday, and we're going to initiate a new quote. We're going to be wildly creative with the naming convention here. SIC, pay frequency, and give this a zip code. And then confirming again in step one of our proposal, is this the broker we want this case assigned to? What's the effective date and what's the name on the actual output of the proposal that we want to provide? So if we're happy with all of that information, we're going to go ahead and click next, which will move us to our census tool. We're going to import our census like we learned about the other day, but isn't tremendously difficult anyway, right? So we're going to go ahead and grab our test census for California and bring that into the tool. So I've got my census added and I can still edit, make changes, etc. to this census here. I can add a current plan if I want. I'm going to skip that today since we're focused more on the case enrollment and just click next so I can start picking plans for my 5 employees. Now the plans I'm picking at this point as I move into step 3, it's still the quote, right? I'm still picking plans that I would display on the proposal, and they might be the finalist plans or the finalist proposal, but they're still fundamentally moving forward to a proposal from this point. So we'll grab a few Anthems, a few Blue Shields, some Kaiser, and some United for good measure. And now that we have 12 medical plans picked for our 5 life group, we'll just jump over to dental and grab a few of those products as well. $1,328 dental products available in California, and this is going to siphon down specifically to display the ones that this group is eligible for based on their employer and employee demographics. So 1,294 options available. We're going to stay focused on PPO dental options today. So just clicking that only button next to the filter to kind of zero in on the options I want. I'll grab 2 from United. Since we did have some major medical carriers on there, we'll grab a few from each of those guys. And then we'll throw on a Principal and MetLife for good measure. Let's grab a couple vision plans as well. All right. United, 1 Principal, 1 Met, and then I think we did a Blue Shield and an Anthem for anyone paying attention. It feels like the right decisions. So we're going to go ahead and pick those. And then we can click next, which will jump us to step 4, or we could continue along those product tabs to add additional products to the proposal. Now, all of the plans I picked so far, the 12 medical, these 7 dental, and these 5 vision plans are all ready to show up on the proposal. And I can manipulate, edit, add employer contribution to these, or add a current plan to make sure that's included in the analysis if I was so inclined. And let's actually do that. Let's say that the employer has agreed to pay 100% for the vision. For dental, we will say that the employees are accustomed to paying $5 a month, and we will always have them pay $5. So it's an employee dollar amount contribution, and the employer will pay the difference. So we'll map that way. And then for medical, we'll have the employer pay 80% of the employee cost and nothing for spouse and dependents. This is a common use case across a lot of our markets. So we've applied those to our different product here. And why don't we go ahead and add a custom product? Let's say we have a life insurance plan that was provided by Guardian. Guardian is not, it is a carrier we partner with at Amwins Connect as a GA, but it's not a carrier that has provided us their rating methodology to include in the tool. That said, we can include it on the proposal as long as we have that Guardian proposal elsewhere. We can go ahead and add this 15,000 of life insurance and an employer paid chassis for all of our employees. We're just going to put in the rate that we read off of the Guardian proposal and apply this to our proposal as well. So now we have multiple medical, dental, vision, and a custom life product all included on our proposal when we're ready to generate. And that's something we can use with the employer to continue to make buying decisions like we've reviewed the past few days. But you're here to talk about the enrollment and the case submission tool. So let's dig into that a little bit further. So now in step 4 still, where I generate my proposal, I can take some additional actions aside from reorganizing for output. I can decide which plans this group is going to enroll in. So you're going to take these 2 Blue California plans, and we'll take a Kaiser option to go with those. So I now have 3 plans ready for enrollment. You can see this little begin enrollment button has a parenthetical 3 based on the 3 check marks I've picked off so far, but I'm not done yet. We're going to go ahead and presume to enroll in a dental plan, a vision plan, and we're going to enroll in that Guardian plan that we made up. Now, this is nice. You're not necessarily filling out Guardian paperwork, but we can get buying decisions on everybody and provide the carrier enrollment documentation on which plans those members selected. So I've got 6 products ready to begin enrollment. And all I do, go ahead and time me if you'd like, is click begin enrollment to build out an open enrollment portal for this employer. This step right here is replacing the step where you have an employer decision, but you have to go fill out a checklist and build out an open enrollment portal in a third-party system. The Benefix tool moves from the quote directly to the open enrollment environment. So we're ready to move forward with the employer, and we could send an invite to all of the employees now based on the information we have. This screen that I have is the enrollment tool. You can access it from the Benefix dashboard. That's what this enrollment tile brings you back to, is all of your current open enrollments, including the one we're in the middle of for 10.6a. And here, where it's going to ask us a couple questions, generally in the order that we would validate questions when we're supporting you or you're communicating directly with an employer. The questions are, all right, is this your effective date? And when are we going to do open enrollment? And if we want to get ID cards by the 1st, we want to tell employees to be done by the 9th, not the 16th. So we'll make some changes. Additionally, it's showing you all of the products you selected, 3 medical, 1 dental, 1 vision, 1 life. And it's asking us to either confirm the contribution, which we said was 80% here, or gives us a chance to modify the contribution. So if the employer decided that they don't want to pay 100% for vision anymore, they want the employees to have just the tiniest little bit of skin in the game, we can change that to a 90% contribution from the employer and have that reflected here. So we're going to confirm the the contributions we entered earlier. And then this is going to be eligible for anybody's full-time, rehired, or on continuation. And then it's the rest of the new business checklist that we would customarily deliver to you as the GA, or you would relay to your client that says, great, thank you so much for making a buying decision. There's a couple things I need you to do. I need you to fill out a group application for all of these carriers, see attached. I need employee absent waivers for your employees, see attached. And I need you to provide some additional documentation, like a most recent quarterly wage and tax or most recent payroll stubs attached as a sample. Feel free to reach out to your accounting team. Also, please copy Greg in my office on the submission, just to make sure, because he's our submission coordinator. We want to make sure all the information gets back. And then they forget to copy Greg. And then you spend 2 weeks in limbo trying to gather missing information and pile it together, probably on your desktop or maybe an email, and compile that. What this system does that is just help facilitate that same workflow, but in a more transparent and open environment. This is a Dropbox / DocuSign-like environment that is shared between us, Amwins, your trusty GA, you, the broker, who can access this tool at any time for any of the groups you have quoted to us through Benefix. And this same web page here is where we can invite the employer. So if we want the employer to join us in filling out information, we can add them here. Fantastic. So we've got the employer now included. And we're just going to go back to our full checklist where we can see we completed that first step, and we can action additional pieces of our small group open enrollment and case submission documentation. So next is the group applications, those master apps that are required per carrier. The nice thing here, and this is my favorite part about this tool, is that there's a lot of information you need to collect, and brokers do a phenomenal job doing this and bringing this information back to us. But to fill out the principal form, the MetLife forms, the Kaiser form, the Guardian form, which is generic, the principal form, and the Blue Shield of California form, there are 112 pieces of information that are required. 35 of them we already have. We have the group name, we have the SIC, we have the zip, the city, the state, the county, and we can continue to fill in this information here, and these fields map to the carrier forms. In fact, if you said, Eric, this is great, but I don't know that my clients will ever actually use it, I would say, well, at bare minimum, come here and download your carrier master app, because we've pre-populated it with the information we do have, and you can look like a hero when you put this on your employer's desk and say, hey, look, we already filled it out as best as we could based on everything that was on the quote. Can you fill in the rest? So even putting all of that information here makes this a little bit easier to map to. So so kind of like DocuSign in that and form mapping, we're filling out the forms based on the information we have, but we don't have to type the group name again. So critically important feature and super helpful when you're trying to work with a small group that has this many products. And we all have some that have just one or two, and we all have some that have 8 to 12 products per group. And it's managing that paperwork and that form management, documentation management can be quite a handful. So excited to share, again, even if you didn't do anything else with this, the ability to grab pre-populated applications out of this environment. The next is employee applications. This is where we can invite employees. We can invite them via email or via SMS message directly to their cell phone. It gives us in this interface a chance to review the employees that are included. We can click manage to delete employees if we no longer want to have them included. In the open enrollment, we can add additional employees if we're so inclined. We don't have to do that, but of course, censuses change between the time we initially launched or quoted and by the time we actually get to this environment. Inviting employees is easy, and we're going to share a little workbook that shows everybody how to follow these steps. There's some great articles in the Help Center that talk through this specific process as well. Additionally, this is where you can download employee worksheets. Employee worksheets or payroll sheets or enrollment collateral are available to all of our Amwins Connect regions, and it's something you can use when you are trying to provide something physical or even email something to employees outside of this enrollment link. That said, feel free to use the enrollment link. It's particularly helpful. This downloads a nice little zip folder with each employee's name on it, and it gives you a worksheet for medical, dental, and vision as a 3-page document with your colors and logos that we picked up yesterday when we loaded this. Let's go back and next steps. After this, our next step of our sort of new business checklist workflow is to upload any additional documentation that might be required. And that could be a copy of the binder check or tax and payroll documentation, depending on what a particular carrier requires. So I'm just going underneath my or working my way down my checklist to additional documents. There's additional documents required per carrier. In Guardian's case, remember, we added that carrier to this proposal. It's not one that we work with through the Benefix environment, but you can upload all of your documents here. That way you're compiling everything in one place, which is nice. For MetLife, it does fill out their provide you or show you all of the other forms that they generally request be provided. In the case of their AXA travel assistance, is actually filling out those forms for you based on the information you're entering on the master app. And we see that with Principal with their policyholder and responsibility electronic consent form and their evidence of insurability forms. It's getting all of the information it needs from that master app population documentation. Now, it won't be completed until you fill out all the forms and have all the employees do their applications, because that might impact the number of employees who are participating in a particular product, but it is available and included. Same thing when you look at Kaiser Permanente and their electronic transfer for payment form, pre-populating for you. In fact, you could even download the one that's partially completed now if you did want to deliver that as a piece of paper to your client. So you're never stuck doing it electronically, but hey, we got it already loaded here to be done electronically. Please take advantage of it. Last but not least, the two final steps in here. First is the electronic signature that you and your employer client can add to the tool. Now, it won't actually let me do that today because I have not completed all of my forms and applications, and it won't let me fill out an electronic signature until everything's actually done. So it makes you have it complete and comprehensive before it lets you sign it. So one thing that is different between the paper world and this world is that we can sign off on things only once we're finished here. And then at the end step, we go to our enrollment summary. This gives us a review of all of the different carrier packets that we've assembled. Right now, this doesn't send anywhere. It doesn't send this information to a carrier or to Amwins directly yet, future development coming. But what it allows you to do is download a packet of all of the information for each of these specific carriers so that you can get those turned in effectively to your underwriting team or your sales team here at Amwins. So it does compile a packet. It gives me a little high-level status review. It tells me 30% is great progress, which might be a little too optimistic for a comprehensive case submission, but I do feel empowered by that positive message there. So we're just doing a quick packet download that we will grab. In this zip file here shows all of the additional documentation, employee apps and waivers, and a copy of that populated group application or partially populated group application that we already started. So in the event you do just want to grab bundles of paperwork, it's another location to go ahead and do those in. So the most frequently asked question that you haven't asked yet, but I will make sure to address for you is, what do we do, and does this manage year-round eligibility, adds, terms, and changes? The answer is right now is that it does not. This is a small group open enrollment tool or case submission tool. We are working with Benefix on features and functionality that allows members and brokers to use this year-round, but right now this is a case submission open enrollment tool that allows you to provide small group electronic online enrollment and case submission for a group where you can't necessarily justify the cost of building this out in a more comprehensive platform if the group just has medical and dental and you only have 3 people and you're not worried about new hires and terms over the course of the year because they might have one. This is a great way to provide that electronic enrollment experience without having to spend time doing comprehensive portal builds, because it builds based on what came from the quote data. So to review, and I moved through that relatively quick today. Inside of the Amwins environment, this Amwins logo in the top left corner is our homepage button. We ran a quote, and in the end stage of that quote, we launched into an enrollment. And then in that enrollment, we worked through our checklist of action items, which is our in most cases, states and regions, our customary small group case submission workflow, and it's similar to that all the way through. And then you can review those and launch back into those at any time. Additionally, you can come back here anytime over the course of the year and generate additional employee worksheets through this employee applications button, where you can add members and run new worksheets. So with that, I will stop and check in. Are there any thoughts, concerns, questions, or feedback that we can address while we have folks on the call today? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure. We'll get your completion certificate out to you. And if you have anything or need anything between now and your first enrollment, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much.